So I would like to announce our speaker for today. Brian is one of the co-founders of Joomla, and he is going to guide us through how you can use the Joomla4 core editor without extensions. So he's going to surprise us, excite us, and just keep proving how Joomla is as amazing as we know it all is, because that's why we're here.
Let me begin. So one thing I've been talking at quite a few Joomla events over the last year or so, trying to encourage people not to immediately go for an extension, but to actually look and see what the core can do. Because the less extensions you use, the less you have to maintain, to support, to learn, to bug fix. And people have got into that, especially the long-term Joomla users, and I do recognize quite a few of you in the room from a long time ago, some of them. And we've got into the habit of always using this extension or always using that extension. And the reality is that quite often you don't need to. And specifically with Joomla4, I'm going to be concentrating this presentation about the use of the TinyMCE editor that ships with Joomla4. And the reason I'm doing that is because the one you were using in Joomla 3 was really old and really out of date, and we missed a lot of the cool features. And the reason we missed those features was because we had to stick to support an old versions of Internet Explorer, so we hadn't upgraded. But we have now, so now we can actually use the new version of TinyMCE, which is awesome. So what I'm going to do is let me just quickly jump into editing an article. And the first thing you're going to see when this finally loads is it looks, if you haven't seen it already, it looks similar but different. The first thing you'll notice is where have all the buttons gone? Because it's not many. That's because by default they're hidden. And if you click on these three dots at the end, you get to see all the other buttons that you've got enabled. And the Joomla buttons, the Joomla specific ones, are now grouped under this CMS content label here. Now, we can do lots of things with this toolbar. We can drag and drop and change which icons are available. We can remove them. We can switch it so that, for example, this one for creating tables is right at the top, and this one for printing we can just simply remove, because who wants to print from here? So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to quickly jump over to the configuration so we can have a look at just 3 options that you really should change before you start anything. And you'll find those in the plugins. And it's a plugin called TinyMCE, not surprisingly. So I'll just open this up. Now, the first thing to tell you is you're going to make a mistake with this because the user interface could be better. What do I mean? By default, TinyMCE has 3 configurations: set 2, set 1, and set 0. And they're assigned to different user groups. By default, the one that the super admin is using is set 0. So all of these options you see here relate just to the set. And that confuses people quite often. They make it check, they open it up, it opens on set 2, they make one of the changes, and it doesn't work because you're in the wrong sets. So I'm in set 0. So I said about I can drag and drop things from the toolbar. So almost everything is included on here. This is my toolbar, and these are the available options. And almost everything's there apart from this help button. So I'm going to just drag that and put that there. And just because I can, I'm going to remove subscript and superscript and that little separator. I'm not going to do any more. You can play with that yourself and see what to do. Now, if we scroll down, there's lots of other options. Almost everything is by default on. There's just one or two that I strongly recommend that you change. And they are, the first one is toolbar mode. So currently it's what's called sliding, which is what you saw. It pops open when you click on the three dots. It shows the next rows.
Brian, the left side just showed up on your screen, the do more, so we can't see the full screen.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Oops. Okay. So here we can see that there's other options called sliding and wrap and floating. And really, it's up to you. Play with them, see what you prefer. Wrap will basically put all of them on screen at the same time. So it'll wrap like this here. So it's one long row that's being wrapped around. The next one you'll see, we're going to see where it happens later, but we can drag and drop images. And when you drag and drop an image, we can choose where to save those. So these are all the folders I currently have in my media. So I'm going to choose Jug, so that all the drag and drop ones are automatically going to be there. The next one, and we're going to see this one later, this is actually an old feature that no one could ever use. You now can. So just admit, you need to have a folder in your templates override. So that's in this case, Cassiopeia HTML, called TinyMCE. Just select that. You've got one there by default with Cassiopeia. Again, we'll see later what we're going to do with that. And the one other one we're going to change right now is, I've lost it. Sorry, that's what it should look like. Use Joomla text filter is set to off, which means it's using the TinyMCE one, which is defined here. I find it much easier just to work with one set of filters. So I always tell it to use the Joomla one. Okay, so I'm just going to hit save and close. And go back to an article. Apologies for the speed. It's because of the internet connection with Zoom. So as you can see, nothing looks different there because I didn't change the top row. But you can see now immediately we've got that help button. And one of the reasons I put that on was to show you that there are all these shortcuts available, keyboard shortcuts to let you do things. So obviously you've got Control-C and Control-V and Control-B, but you also have Shift-Alt-2 for headings, all sorts of different things. You may or may not use them. I use some of them a lot, other people don't. So I'm just going to close that. So the first thing I'm going to show you is this button here, which looks like the rubber stamp that your utility company stamps on your letters saying your bill is overdue. And it's existed for a long time in TinyMCE, probably back into Joomla 1.0, but you could never use it. And the reason was because the templates were in a place that you couldn't get to them. Now you can. So I've created a load of templates for this one site that I'm working on. And I have some different, you can call them whatever you want. We'll create one in a little bit, but I give them a prefix, in this case, layout or text. And text means it's just a little snippet of text. So here, this piece of text was one I was using a lot over the last year changing every event to say it's taking place online. So to save repetition, I just put it into a template, and there it is. It's straight in my content. So that's really nice. Oops. That's kind of handy. But where it gets really good is you can actually have some really complicated layouts that you've created for your clients, or you found online yourself. And instead of having to work out how to use the layouts each time in here, we can just grab them from the snippets. So I'm just going to grab the first one, which I'm pricing, and save. And you can see it dumped it in there. Now, the layout you are seeing here right now is not the complete layout that you would see on the front end of your site. There's some lots of good reasons for that. There's some not so good reasons, but you can adjust that. I'll come to that at the end if we have time. All I really want my clients to be able to do is to change the text and change the pictures without having to worry about the layout. So they can just go in, select this one, or select a different one. What else have we got? Feature grid. Save. So this is my feature grid, and I've saved. I'm going to save the article, but I'm going to save it directly to a menu. It just saves a little bit of time. And so it's created the menu. You see now we're in the menu item. I'm going to hit save and close. Oh. You can see I was practicing this earlier. Okay, and let's go back to the front of the site and refresh. And test 99, you can see is a beautifully styled 3x2 grid. And if we went into the article, I was just using some dummy images. You could, of course, use real images that the client doesn't change, or ones that you want them to change, but just click on it, go to the CMS content, click on media, find your new image. Let's choose something. Oh, I haven't uploaded it yet. So let's just quickly choose that one, insert. There it is. Save and close. Refresh. And it didn't do anything. No, it did. And you can see the images have dropped straight in. So you can do some really complicated layouts this way. And I'll just show you how to do that. So for this, you need to go into your template. Now, hopefully this is the sort of thing that template developers are going to start to ship with their templates as well. But you can easily create them yourself. So I'm going into the Cassiopeia template. And if I go to the HTML folder where the overrides live, we can see this folder, tinyemce. Here's all those text files you saw before. So text meeting is just a plain text file. And I've got a P at the beginning and a P at the end, and I've got a link in the middle there. So really simple, but the layout ones are really complicated ones. So, oh, I've just chosen one that's not complicated. But, well, it is complicated because we can see we've got lots of divs and rows and reverses and margin bottoms and columns and all sorts of other things. But the great bit about using these is that when you've set them up, the client can easily just load it up themselves, make the change text. They've got great looking content. and it's just so easy. So if I was to create a new one, I would just close this file. I go new file and select the folder, give it a name. And it doesn't matter what you call it, but I just have this convention of using snippets or text for the small bits. And you need to give it a text file type and then just hit create. Okay, so we've now got an empty file. I've just filled it with some just text. So that's text that's not formatted. But obviously, I could start to write some formatted text as well. And just save and close your template. And now if you go back to the articles, you can very quickly, when it loads up, this is not Joomla, this is the Zoom connection, I apologize. We can hit that toolbar button and there is snippet jug demo. You get to see it as a preview, hit save to enter it. So this is really going to save you huge amounts of time working with clients. And I think you're going to really love it once you start to use it. So what I'm going to look at now is something that really annoys me. And I said, don't use extensions. And I see all the time people say, but I need an extension to embed my YouTube video or my Google map or my Vimeo video, all that sort of stuff. You don't need it. TinyMC will do it all for you. So I'm just opening up a YouTube page and a Google map. So I'm ready. So let's hit pause on that video so it doesn't start playing. Okay. So this is the media icon. When you click on it, you get a pop-up. These are tabs. So for a YouTube video, you've got two choices about how to embed it. The first one is just to put the source in. So if you go to your YouTube video, pause, and go share, you can just choose the regular link, which is this. So just copy that, go back to the article and paste it. And as soon as I tabbed away, it's automatically filled in the width and height that it knows about from YouTube. Of course, you can change that if you want. But if I hit save now, you'll see the video is now completely embedded and playable inside my article. If I didn't want to do it that way, I could go for the embed route, which is this piece of code. And again, just hit copy and go back to your article, hit the media button and go to the embed tab. And one of the many advantages of this over some of the other solutions that are extensions is that you can see it in your editor. So one of the ones that a lot of people use is called All Videos, and it's just, you just see the text and the file name. You don't see how much space it's going to use in your article. Now, we can also put a map in, a Google map, for example, in exactly the same way. I'm going to insert it here. So I've got my map of where I live, and you just click on the menu, click on the menu, and go share or embed map. Click on embed a map. You can set some options here, but this is probably good enough for now. Copy that. That's where I want it. Media, embed. And save. And there's my map now in my content. No plugins, just there by default, all sorted, really nice and easy. And the other thing about some of those content plugins is that they're running all the time on every piece of content, whether they're needed or not. And so that actually can have a performance impact. So what's next? So one of the ones I'm guessing a lot of people will want to know about is media and media manager. And of course, there is a media button here in TinyMCE, which when you open it up, it wants you to type the full address of the image, which isn't very friendly. So we're going to cancel that, and we're just going to use the media button. And the media button opens up the brand new media manager. So I'm just going to go into the folder I created called Jug. And the thing about this media manager is we can put images in, we can just go upload and browse for the image, all the usual. So we're going to select that image, open, and there it is. But we can also, which I find much easier, take several of them at once and just drag and drop. And don't worry, these will all collapse. There we are. And you can see all your nice images. And I'm just going to put, while I'm here, because it doesn't just do images, I'm going to take a movie file, an audio file, PDF, and a spreadsheet. And I'm going to drop those in as well. Okay, so they're all here. So just for this article, I'm just going to quickly select this image, and you can see as I clicked on it, it's telling me to give it an alt text, security keyboard, and I can optionally add a class to it. So it might be image thumbnail, which is a specific Bootstrap class, leave it to say lazy loaded, and just go insert media. And there it is. And if I just turn off the editor for a second, you can see image class equals loading equals lazy. The actual width and height of the image, even though I didn't set it, and that's because it's needed for the lazy loading, the alt, and the data path. Because one of the cool things with the media manager is you can actually have images stored on Dropbox or wherever you want, as long as you've got a plugin to support that. So got the image, but I want to check what that alt description is. So I could go back into the media manager again, or this time I can just click on the image. And change it there. It's a bit quicker. Now, what about those other things that I uploaded? Well, let's have a look, first of all, at the PDF. So again, go to media. And where is it? Okay, so here's the PDF, and we can do a couple of things. So first of all, we can rename it. We can even download it from here, or we can take a look. And it's loading up the PDF, and there's the PDF. So you can check it's the right one. And now it's saying, do you want this to be a download or an embed? So for this, I want to embed it. I'll leave the size at that for now so you can see. Hit insert. Okay, so we don't get a preview here, but we do get it to take the space that it was showing. Let me just show you what it actually did. Save to menu. And save. PDF demo. And in a second, it will finish loading. And there's the PDF embedded in my article. Nice and simple. Let's go back in and look at some of those other files. So we have, obviously, so frustrating that it takes so slow. I must upgrade my internet. I'm going to go to media, and this time I've got, that's a video, I think. Let me just play it to see.
It's easy, you try.
Imagine if you try. So that is the one I want. But I'm going to embed it. Insert. Okay. So that's, I'm going to go down here. Go back to media. Whoops, wrong button. And we've also got MP3 audio files. Again, let's insert that. And this time I want that PDF file to be a download, not a embed. In fact, we won't do it with the PDF. We'll do it with this Excel spreadsheet. Oops. Download, insert. It's already written download RA because that's the name of the file. But of course, I can change that name here. And save and close. Go back. Refresh, and what it's going to be doing now is it's going to be loading up the PDF, the video file, the audio file. He says, did I not save it? Okay, live demos, always a problem. I obviously didn't save it. Or it's still, it was still saving. Refresh. There we are. There's the audio file. There's the PDF. There's the video, and there's the download file. You can see it just downloaded a spreadsheet for me. So all of that directly in the core. Super simple, super easy, no need for a plugin, nothing. But let's go back to that media manager. Let's just look at some of those images I just uploaded. So I'm going to go directly into the media manager this way, just to show you the different ways. And let's look at this picture, and I can either double click on it or I can click on the zoom, and it's opened up the picture. And that looks pretty good. It's an SOS one, but you know what? I don't think it's going to fit for my article. I need to change it. So what I'm going to do is click on the pencil. And now there's lots of things I can do. So the first thing is I can crop it, I can resize it, I can rotate it. Now what I want to do is I want to crop this, and I can just drag the edges like that. And you see, I can now pick that up and move that around, and it's kept a certain ratio because of this setting here. And you can set it to be landscape, portrait, any ratios, or you can set it to none, and then it is just a complete free-for-all. So I can just, just marquee select the bit that you want. What I want to do, just get that man there, and let's get his legs a little bit, and just go save, and it's now cropped. but it's still a bit big. So I'm just going to resize him as well. And here, I'm just going to resize it to a maximum of 100 width wide. It's maintain the ratio. And as you can see, I can rotate. Put that rotation back. There we are. Save and close. And so you can do anything to your images right here in the Media Manager. Obviously, it's not Photoshop, but it's there for when someone's uploaded the wrong picture. You know, they've uploaded that huge one. It's for when someone's uploaded a picture like this one, which has got 4 people in, and you only want to have 2. You can just cut them out. So you can do all sorts of different things with that. What you can also do is you can now use the Media Manager to upload SVG files. If you don't know what an SVG file is, don't worry about it. But for those of you that do, this is really cool. And it's not enabled by default. And there's some very good reasons, because SVG are potentially a security issue if you allow just anybody to upload it. But you can do it, and the options are there for you. So I'm just going to do that. So just go to the options. And I'll put this image up at the end again. So in the allowed extensions here, I've added SVG. In the legal image extensions, I've added SVG. That was actually a mistake. It's not a video file. And then in the legal MIME types, I added that. So now that I've done that, save and close. And now if I go to upload, I should have an SVG file somewhere. Okay, not in that folder. Downloads. Ooh, SVG. There we are. And you can see quite happily uploaded it. There it is. Slight difference is you haven't got that pencil icon. You can't edit it, but that is pretty much to be expected. The preview of this one doesn't work because it's actually a blank SVG. But you can see how we can now use SVGs, and that also makes it really cool. Right. Next thing to show you is to explain something about Bootstrap. Cassiopeia is built with Bootstrap. Built with Bootstrap 5, the very latest version. And Bootstrap have changed how they work in version 5. Prior to version 5, you had one enormous JavaScript file from Bootstrap. So even if you were never using carousels, you were always loading the JavaScript for carousels, for pop-ups a lot. And we all know now that speed is what matters. And as a result of that, what Bootstrap have done is they've gone from being a monolith, that's a single JavaScript file with everything, to having independent files for each independent, what they call component. This means that you only need to load the piece of JavaScript that you need when you need to use it. And I'm going to do that now. I've got a carousel and a slideshow that I'd like to use. I got this snippet directly from the Bootstrap website, and I've saved it in my layouts. So let me, so again, layout. Oh, it's accordion. Save, and just put some. We'll leave that. Obviously,
Ryan,
now
I still have the yellow is up. The Bootstrap
Thank you.
components. Cool, thank you.
So I can obviously now just edit this text, you can see I've got this little context thing popped up. I can just delete that. I can put in another piece of text, do whatever I want. Accordion, save to menu, and save and close. And now the proof, go to the home page, click on accordion, and oh, that looks good. Accept. I'm clicking on this really hard, and it's not doing anything. And it's not doing anything because we haven't loaded the JavaScript for the accordion. So we have two choices. We can load it in the template, or we can load it, in this case, just for the article layouts. Now, because this is Cassiopeia, it's a core template, any changes I make to the index.php of the template will be lost on an update. But if I do it as an override, that's perfectly safe. So I'm going to go back into Cassiopeia. And I'm going to create an override for content article. Okay, that's created. And if I go in here, we can see it now. Okay. Bootstrap. I'm just going to move my cursor down to the end of the PHP before the HTML marker. And just put in this piece of code. Let me explain what this code is. I remembered this time. What we have here is Joomla4 uses something called web assets and a web asset manager. You don't really need to worry about it right now. You can learn about that at a later date if you need to. For now, all we need to know is put this line of code in to set things up. Bootstrap has already registered, nice typo there, that Bootstrap has these scripts in this file. So all I have to do is tell this page to use it. So in this case, it's Bootstrap collapse and Bootstrap carousel. I'm going to load them both at the same time. Hit save and close. Go back, refresh. Yay, the accordion worked. And we're sort of running out of time, so I'm not going to show you the carousel, but I think you can get the idea of what you can do. Just going to show one more thing, and then I'm going to stop, I think, which is, and it's a very brief demonstration of something else that I like to do, but most of you probably never will need to do it. And that is to insert code into your article. I'm not talking about code to do something. I'm talking about code to describe what it is that you're doing as a tutorial. And again, what we do is click on that, find the semicolon icon. And what language is it? So in this case, it's PHP. There's my PHP. Hit save. And you can see it's all color formatted. And that's what it's going to look like. Except you still need to load the Prism JavaScript files and the Prism CSS files in exactly the same way as I just showed you to load the Bootstrap files. And then that will work perfectly for you as well. And there was something else. Yes, so Mark is in the room. So this is, or was when I started, he might have left by now. This is something that's going to be in 4.1, at Mark's request, and let me just delete that. And that is before, if you wanted to see the code behind this, you'd turn off the editor, or you'd click on this icon and you'd see it in raw text. Now, or soon in 4.1, you can click on this and you've got it all syntax highlighted. It's going to make life much, much easier for Mark and for the rest of you, hopefully.
I have another question. It's something that Allison referenced on one of the pages. So a lot of us have gotten very lazy, or maybe not us personally, but we teach our clients how to edit content. So using some of the not professional, but external editors, you can tell them to upload an image and then right click, go to the image properties and add a right margin around it or something like that. Now I understand it's much more efficient to use a class instead and tell them to use a class, but some of them may not be capable of doing that, but we do want to make sure they put the spacing around a wrapped image or something like that. Would there ever be a properties layer? You've kind of added it because of alternate text, which is fantastic.
No, it's already there.
For the padding?
Should be sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pop an image in. Just grab the first image I find, insert media.
Yeah.
Click, select the image.
Yep.
Either right click and click image or click on the button. Go to advanced.
Aha. I'm sorry, I missed that if you showed it.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Because as you said, it's bad practice. And
in Facebook, I posted
it.
it. I think it was missed because that was Alice's question on Facebook in the Facebook group. And exactly that was what I had posted.
Okay. I am going to submit a pull request, though, to add the ability to put a class here as well.
Yes.
Because you can do that. The thing with TinyMCE, I'm going to stop my sharing. TinyMCE is super powerful. We just never used all its features before because we was so out of date. Now that it's not, we can start to use all the really cool stuff, and there's loads more that could be implemented. Joomla 4.1. Also been projected. Preview, share, big site. So in Joomla 4.1, there will be an extra button on this page which will say test accessibility. And when you click on that, it will open up your websites with the page you've just been working on, and it will do an accessibility check on the article, not the whole page. There's plenty of tools that do that. So you can see here, it's only going to test within this red boxed area. And the reason for that is because a lot of people only have access to the article they just wrote, but they still need to fix accessibility. And there's lots of things this will do. You can work your way through. The really nice thing is it's going to be, the text is easy to understand. It's not written geeky. So you can see here, it's even spotting, even though this is not technically an accessibility fail, it's spotting that we're using the word on a link called learn more, or click here, or read more. And it's highlighting that as a problem. And there's lots of different rule sets. And if I just hit this image one, it's going to test all sorts of different things. So it's given this one a tick. This one it's failed because it doesn't have an alt text. And this one, it's highlighted because the alt text is an image of a bird, which isn't that silly if you can see, but if you're using a screen reader, that will come across as image of an image of a bird. So it's finding things that normal accessibility testers won't find, but this will. And this is a game changer in terms of features shipping in a CMS. There is no other CMS that's shipping with anything remotely like this. And so I'm really excited to be working on this, and touch wood, it will make it for 4.1. The thing that will hold it back will be doing the non-English language version of it.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone that came in. I will send a link to the recording as soon as I get that up. I usually just put them directly onto the Joomla user group website for the Joomla user group of New Jersey. So the API session that we had that recording is up there if anyone wants to watch it with George. And I'll upload this too, probably by Monday, just a couple days. And I'll also email you the listing of all the stuff, the housekeeping we did in the beginning with JDay USA, Joomla User Group New Jersey, our future things. But thank you so much for coming today. And Brian, thank you so much for your time, the time you give to the project. And thank you to everyone in this room for giving back to the Joomla project by you participating in these sessions. That's giving back, believe it or not, because as long as we keep learning and asking questions, we'll make it better. So I thank you very much for coming and participating. And with that, we'll end. So have a great rest of the day. Brian, anything to close?
Yes, I just hope that those of you who I have met in person before, I get to meet again before not too long. And that those of you who I've only met online, I will get to meet you in person as well soon. So far, I think in the last 2 years, I've not been more than 1 mile or 1.5 kilometers from my house in the last 2 years. So I kind of like to get back to 10 flights a year. And then I get to see everybody and travel all over the place and stuff. And that's my hope for moving forward. All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you.